Good day, everybody. We thought we'd release our results today from Survey 1.8 via video. Thanks to Brice MacDermott for joining me today. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. First day closed here in Edmonton, so happy to be here, and I've made it through a great golf season.
Yeah, maybe you can relax a little bit, I guess. Brice, was Kamloops home for you?
No, Kelowna would be home actually. Spent
Kelowna's
22 years in Kelowna high school, and then until taking the job in Kamloops in 2015, and then Edmonton since February of 2019. So yeah, hard to believe it's already been like 20 months here in Edmonton. It's going fast. It's great.
nice. Nice. Yeah, well, quite a year to be getting more familiar with the club, that's for sure.
Well,
So we
yeah,
had some, sorry, what's that?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
We had some pretty interesting questions this week. A lot of requests came in, and they seem to keep coming, which is great. Stuff really for 2021, like member dues, member categories, and things like that. So we'll play a little, I don't know whether to call it trivia or just Q&A as to see how close you can get to the answers that came out. We had 80 clubs participate in this week's survey, which is great. We're going to release results tomorrow. As usual, they'll be on the back end of clubstudy.ca for all the trial subscribers, but then we'll also send this video along with a PDF with the results for everyone's enjoyment. Okay, without further ado, I'll give you a little bit of prep work here, Brice. It might help, it might not, but we had a members dues question in July, and results for July 30th suggested that 29% of clubs weren't sure what they were planning on for next year, which is fair in a July, right? However, we ask again, July 30th, they said approximately 13% of clubs said they were going to have no increase. Keep in mind, 29% weren't sure, or almost a third weren't sure what they were going to do. But for those that answered, 13% said no increase, 39% said a 1 to 2% increase, 37% said a 2 to 5% increase, and 11% said a 6+. So we asked the exact same thing. And for this week, how do you think it changed? Or maybe it didn't. So for no increase, what do you think the percentage of clubs are expecting for 2021, Brice?
13 in July. I think it probably stayed somewhere near the same. I'm going to say like 15%.
Okay, so yeah, it did go up. It's at 21%. So
Okay.
maybe up a little further than people would have thought. What about a 1 to 2% increase? I know this is kind of inflation rates. Most clubs plan on at least this every year. 1 to 2%, how many?
I'm going to say again, that's got to be high. That's got to be like, let's go 40%.
Okay, pretty close, 41%. So that the priming I did maybe is working off a little bit for you. 2 to 5% increase for next year. What percentage of clubs?
You're going to be 20, or let's say 20 or less.
Okay, so 31%.
Oh, wow.
And then 6+, looking at 6% of clubs.
Wow.
And then, so slight changes from the end of July. I guess I was surprised to see the no increase go up so much, but I think most clubs, golf clubs specifically, not so much City and Athletic, have had a really good year. So maybe that's why they've decided the no increase. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly think that's probably has a lot to do with it. I also think, I know for us personally, like we found a lot of efficiencies through the pandemic to be able to maybe save on some spending. And likely those are some of the things that are going to carry on into next year. I mean, there's no imminent change to how we're able to operate. And I think that's what we kind of have to plan on. So that probably reflects a lot of, those clubs that had a great year and potentially found some efficiencies and able to kind of holding dues where they are for their members, which is, some may not think it's a great thing, but it's, given what we've gone through, probably a good thing for those clubs that are able to do that.
Yeah, tougher decisions than ever too, as to decide what to do. Obviously, no one even knows what January, February is going to bring, let alone the whole of next year, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, cases are on the rise, and it's, we could be headed back to another lockdown. I hate to think that would even be an option, but who knows? We just have to keep taking it day by day. And I imagine through a lot of people's budgeting process, they're providing, a whole bunch of different scenarios on things that might happen. allow us to adjust as things come about.
Brice, I thought I banned the word lockdown from this meeting today.
Sorry. You can beep that out.
I'll beat that out. It'll sound like a swear word. Yeah. As far as entry fees for next year, what percentage of clubs do you think are keeping them the same?
Well, I think that's going to be quite high. I think I'd say like 65%.
Ooh, you're close, 64%. Okay, so like 2/3 of clubs. It's really a guess there that entry fees are going to remain about the same. No clubs plan on decreasing them, which is kind of interesting. I guess it's not a huge surprise, but that was kind of good to note. And then the rest are kind of smaller or more marginal changes or increases. So as far as the categories go, I know this was one thing that was somewhat heavily requested. What are member categories going to do for next year? And as far as the amount or the frequency of categories at each club, how many have between 2 and 4 categories, do you think, of membership at their club?
I would think that's a smaller amount. I'd say like 20% as a guess.
So about 1/3 of clubs, so right around
Okay.
that 33% mark, have between 2 and 4 membership categories. And what about from 5 to 7? 5 to 7 member categories, not including juniors, of course. What are your thoughts there?
Okay. Probably about the same, maybe 33%.
Yeah, it's right in about the same amount. Now you start to go up. Good guess, by the way. Again, you're doing well. No prizes for this game, though. So as far as 11, interesting note here. So 11 plus categories of membership. We know sometimes clubs have a lot more categories. How many do you think would fall under that?
I would hope for their sake, not a whole bunch. 10%?
19%.
Okay.
So about 1 in 5 clubs have 11 or plus categories. I don't know. It's always easy to add them. I don't know if it's easy to take them away, right? It's tough to kind of plan that far out. So as far as membership categories for next year and what the plan is going to be, do you think more clubs are increasing, decreasing, or staying the same? What do you think there?
I would think the majority of the clubs are going to stay the same. I wouldn't say that adding or decreasing is going to be something with the uncertainty that a whole bunch of clubs are going to look at. I've been wrong before, though.
And you'll be wrong again in this survey for sure. 80% of clubs, 79% are planning on staying the same. And there seems to be a bit of a theme, right? Whether it's dues, if there's an increase, it seems to not be too much by the majority. And then same thing here, 4 and 5 clubs plan on the same amount of membership categories. As far as tilting the scales, more are going to decrease than increase, but there are a small margin that plan to add a couple categories too, and they just maybe don't have as many to begin with. So interesting there. What about as far as rates and things, the last one for this survey, estimated guest fee rates for 2021? Any guesses? I guess I better give some categories. So as far as staying the same, how many or what percent?
I would think probably upwards of 50% are probably going to stay the same there.
Yeah, so pretty close. 42% are going to keep the guest rates the same. Hardly any. There were a couple of clubs that said they were going to decrease, but not worth noting there. 1 to 5% increase. What percentage do you think that was?
It's probably got to be about 1/3, maybe 33%.
Yeah, so a quarter. And I guess what we see after the 42%, the bulk, stay the same is what they're saying. You see it kind of shrink or taper down as to the amount of increase. And maybe if you put a dollar number here instead of percent, it might have been different. But 1 to 5% increase is a quarter or 25%. 5 to 10% increase, 10%. 10 to 20% increase, 6%. And then, after that, again, it shrinks right off. So minor bump, or most are just planning on staying the same. I guess with so much uncertainty, maybe most are kind of playing this 2-year or wait till the pandemic's over before change type of scenario.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, from the golf perspective, when you don't have a whole bunch of, MTC times, it's not like you're going to be decreasing that. So I would think the majority, definitely in the golf world, are either going to stay the same or maybe even see that as a, jump it up just a bit.
Yeah. Course closures. I haven't broken this down regionally yet, but interesting to see some answers across the nation. So between now and October 31st, course closures, what percentage do you think that was?
You've got more Ontario people filling this out, I would think.
It's true. Yeah, I think, and it's funny because the proportions, I think, as far as population, are pretty close. But
Okay.
so then, as far as the percentages go,
I'm going to
uh,
go 35% is what I'm going to guess.
okay, so 17%.
Okay.
And perhaps the more interesting thing here, because there was a category for weather will determine this. Then again, I guess if for example, you guys, if you had answered between now and October 31st, you wouldn't have put weather determining. But anyway, as far as the weather determining, how many do you think were there?
Well, probably 25%.
Okay, so it was actually the same as what they said for the next 2 weeks, 17%. So
Okay.
they would wait and see. So, and then the bulk of them being first week in November. And again,
Okay.
it could be, based by region. And then a bunch, say for example, a few in BC, and that we just won't close. And then obviously the city closing thing's not pertinent there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with one last question here. It has to do with dress code as far as denim. So jeans. The question I will ask is, what percentage of clubs do you think allow them anywhere in the clubhouse?
This is something I'd be interested to see what it was like a couple of years ago to now. But I'm going to say 40% of clubs allow them anywhere in the clubhouse.
62%.
Wow, even
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah. 5 clubs that answered don't allow them at all. And then, kind of the bulk of the rest said, just depends where, certain areas. So what I take from your comment about asking a few years ago, and I agree, it would have been interesting to see. I wonder a few years from now, denim on the golf course. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes. I mean, we don't allow it here. Again, it comes probably a little tougher on the standards, but I mean, I see people wearing some, pants and khakis that aren't necessarily in the greatest condition. And then I have a member wearing $300 jeans, maybe they're not even blue, and yet we don't allow them on the golf course. So it seems to be a little bit of a kind of a double standard there. And I certainly think in the next 5 years, we're going to see a trend of allowing those on the golf course more and more and more. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just going to be a matter of length of time, really, right? I mean, you can go no collar now. And then even really traditional city clubs and everything, denim in some rooms. And again, that was a requested one from a partner club. So good stuff. Thanks, Brice. Thanks for joining me. You started really, really strong, and then I don't know, you didn't really finish so well, but I really appreciate you joining me, and good stuff. So any more comments before we leave for the day?
No, I mean, it's been great. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you doing this. I find this information very useful. I'm sorry I let you down on those last few questions, but we basically, I mean, the majority of the golf courses in Alberta decided to shut down yesterday, which would have been a few days earlier. We kind of had planned to go to Sunday, so we're all closed and grateful for a wonderful season, and looking forward to trying to put together a plan for 2021, even though so much is unknown. But we're going to have a lot of stuff happening here this off season at the Windermere. So we're doing cross-country skiing. We're going to build a skating rink and keep the clubhouse open and get 3 golf simulators going. So it'll be a busy spot, and we look forward to staying connected to our members throughout the off season here.
Sounds exciting. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks. And thanks for, keeping us in touch as to what's going on at the club, and I always enjoy the chat. Let's keep in touch. Thanks, Brice.
You bet. Thanks, Ryan.